Hey everybody, this is Jimmy. Welcome back to another episode of the Meet the Candidate series for Cambridge City Council and Cambridge School Committee. My name is Jimmy Tingle, and I'm really happy to introduce our next guest. She served one full term as Cambridge City Council. She's running for re-election. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Cambridge's own Ayesha Wilson. Welcome to the show, Ayesha.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So you served one full term. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for re-election.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am a kid from Cambridge. I grew up in North Cambridge, Jefferson Park. I'm raising my son, my toddler, who's been on these episodes before, Changa Prime Time, who's now 3. And I'm a daughter of an immigrant. My mother's from Jamaica. I served 2 terms on the Cambridge School Committee. I'm a social worker, served my first term on council, look forward to continuing to serve. Um, I love serving my city. And so this is why I'm here and continuing and hoping to continue to serve and hopefully earn the votes that I need to do so.
Great. Tell us about the first term. You must have liked it because you're back for more. Tell us about what went well, any particular accomplishments that you're proud of or some of the progress you folks made, and what do you hope to do in the second term?
Yeah, so the first term is definitely it's been a really good term overall, but it's been challenging. A lot of the work that we've set out to do, some has been accomplished and some has been a little challenging to meet the final majority of the votes, right? To meet the 5. But I would say things like, obviously ending exclusionary zoning has been something that we've talked about for so long. It's a historic move, very bold move in terms of being able to build more housing across our community. But I can't lie or deny that it's been feeling like a pressure sore point for many across our a city. And I think with new projects that are online, and we want to make sure that projects get through, but we recognize that they can be a little bit harder and challenging. I'm really pleased about the community benefits dollars that have been added to the community benefits fund. Again, another hard, tough conversation and battle, but one that um, I think a lot of my own advocacy and skills, along with a few of my colleagues, were able to find a compromise with the zoning project, with Biomed Realty, East Cambridge, East End House, and other nonprofits to make sure that there was a little bit more of a balance to be spread out across our community to support those who are serving. And on the ground doing some really good work during this time that feels really more challenging with the current administration. But we're still having hard conversations. So whether we are talking about housing or we're talking about, say, bike lanes, conversations are just not easy, and we're not going to win on everything and every level. But I have been really honored and blessed to serve and be able to use my voice and use my skill even as a social worker to be a consensus builder and also a systems thinker to make sure that we're trying to build community and not tear community apart, even when we don't agree on everything. So that's really just to name a few, but we lost votes on multi we've actually issued some additional housing vouchers, but lost the vote when it came to keeping a shelter open. Um, and, looking to make sure that we support more families with the income, $500 a month pilot from Rise Up Cambridge and so much more. So looking forward to continuing those services, but also wanting to make sure that we support our school systems and making sure that all of our kids are reading by 3rd grade and beyond, are able to get math and algebra the way that they should and deserve, and are able to graduate from high school um, thriving to take on the next steps in their chapters of their lives.
Yes, that's quite a list. Tell me, going into your second term, if you were to be reelected, there's going to be, first of all, what's some of the goals that you'd like to achieve? But you know how it is. Sometimes you have these goals, and then especially with new financial constraints coming to the city, most likely, what would the challenges be for that to make up for money that might not be coming back to the city? But let's just talk about the goals. What would you like to achieve in the second term if you're elected?
100%. I want to see us have a really strong, robust program for our emerging adults. So, those young people who are 18 to 25 or even 30, we want to make sure that we have strong programs and supports for them. Many of our young people, they just age out of programs, right? They age out of the high school, they've now graduated, or they age out of our youth centers and they have nothing, and like there's a few. I'm not going to say there's absolutely nothing, but there's a few sporadic opportunities for young people who don't have a full plan. But I want to see us be intentional. I want to see us build in Credential After Dark, the CET After Dark program, which would allow young people to get some credentials through our Vista program at the high school when the building is closed. I want to see us actually have financial literacy that can allow our young adults to really think more robustly about how they are able to invest in their own future, or what does being financially smart, how does that help them grow as individuals? So again, if you're not going college bound and you want to think about career, what does that look like for you? And how could we as a city help to get you to those next levels? I think about public safety a lot, and I also think about social services. I want to make sure, as a social worker, but I just think as a human being, we want to make sure that there are robust services for individuals who are at great need. When we think about our unhoused or those who may have substance use issues and challenges, that we are providing more wraparound care and support for individuals and not services that are just, say 7 to 7, right? But what does it look like to extend those programs and resources to be overnight and on the weekends? So we need to do a much, much, much better job on that. And we really need to invest in that.
Tell me, now for the harder question. You talked about you guys have to have hard conversations. What does it look like? Is there already a budget, a deficit forecast for the next term? Is that kind of a given at this point? And how are the folks thinking about dealing with that?
That's a really great question. And no doubt, Cambridge has really operated like we have a checkbook with endless, unlimited dollars, and we can't move like that anymore. We need to move with intentionality. We need to be able to be smart and wise. There's about $23 million of federal dollars that the city gets, and at any given time that could be jeopardized. So we need to be mindful of that. Um, and that really kind of taps into and supports some of our housing initiatives and our education and Department of Human Services needs. So we have to be smart with our spending, and we need to really think about how we're prioritizing all the great needs. The thing about the beauty of council is that you have 9 individuals who have these great ideas and great plans. And guess what? Those great ideas and those great plans, they cost money. Right. And so you have to invest in those things, but we have to prioritize what is the top tier, what could be done maybe in a couple of years, what could be done maybe a lot more years later, right? And what's like our 3 to 6 month plan? What's our next year plan? And we need to really think about putting our money truly where our mouth is, about who we value in our community and in our city, and what do we value. And that's going to be based on where we put our money for sure. And I want to see our money being invested in the people, and definitely the people who are the most vulnerable in our community.
Right. I had the pleasure of attending one of your council. It wasn't a council meeting.
It was a committee meeting.
It was a committee meeting. I went. It was on economic development in the city,
Yes.
and I thought it was great for a lot of reasons. You did a fine job, over chairing it, but also some of the input that came in. But also, I don't think a lot of people realize this, that much of the tax base is commercial and it's businesses. And so the thrust of this meeting was, how do we bring in more businesses? What can we do to be more welcoming to businesses, not only to serve people with their goods and services, but also that the money that the commercial, entities bring into the city. And so how is that component going? Because if we have 23 million shortfall, we got to make it up someplace if we want to continue the way we've been doing it. And so how is that whole welcoming more businesses to the city doing?
Yeah. I mean, we still have a laundry list of things to do in order to accomplish a real welcoming city and community for business owners specifically. I will tell you that tonight, and probably by the time this airs, this would have already passed, but on tonight's council agenda is a conversation about possibly raising commercial taxes. Now, I need more information. I am not sold that we need to increase commercial taxes because, as businesses have it, those smaller businesses specifically are going to be the ones who are going to either have higher rents or have to really pay the huge down, be burdened by that increase. And I don't think that they could afford that, nor should they have to afford that. Um, but I also think about our residents too. And so if we were to increase property taxes across the board, which we just did, it's going to be even more of a burden. So I think we need a little bit more information. I'm not opposed to what tax cuts can do for our community. It'll absolutely increase revenue. It'll absolutely increase opportunities for us to do more. But I want to see how we can do this in a more thoughtful way. And also recognizing that for businesses and especially small businesses, they just they don't have it in order to take on what a big increase would actually do for the community or for their business. And so that worries me a lot. And I will be chairing another economic development committee this Wednesday, actually, talking a little bit more about what has the economic development done for businesses across like pre-COVID, post-COVID, uh, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, right? And just where have businesses been able to thrive. And I'm also inviting individuals from especially the Black Business Network to talk about how the Economic Development Department has been useful in maybe some areas in which they can improve. We want to hear from both sides. We want to hear from all sides. And I think that's the only way that we're going to be able to learn and grow together as a community.
Right. In terms of the vacancy rates, I think that was one of the things that was driving your committee meeting. Is that it seems like there's not as many as there was 6 months ago. Is that right? Or do you have any idea of how those are being filled or if they're being filled?
Yeah, well, great news. I mean, there's some vacancies are getting filled, right? Central Square will be, you'll see less vacancies over the next few months. There's a lot of leases that have been signed and businesses storefronts that are starting to come online. Same for Harvard Square and even Porter. So this is great news. And we want to see these businesses thrive in our community. So it's one thing to get a business in. It's another thing if they're gone in 2 years, right? And
Right.
so, what does it take for businesses to come into Cambridge and to thrive in Cambridge? But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the sore spots, right? We have businesses that have been vacant now for a decade plus.
Right.
And this was the premise of that conversation, was to really talk about and hear from those business owners to understand what's the issue, what's the challenge, why are we holding on to, say, the Harvard Square movie theater, which is like a staple in our community and it has been vacant for over 10 years. What are we doing there? And how does that hurt the businesses that are the neighbors to that, right? If one building is vacant, anything, the lack of care and treatment and everything in that one building could be impacting its neighbors greatly. And we have a responsibility to that. I think that business owner has a responsibility to that, but it's unfortunate because as a city, our hands are tied in terms of what we can do. And part of me is just like, that just feels like effed up. Like we should be able to have more responsibility and can hold folks more accountable to versus just sitting on vacant properties just to see if the cost of whatever the land, the price, whatever goes up. It's like, no, that's not fair. Do something, let a community, allow a community to thrive, especially a community like Harvard Square, for example.
Right. And that theater that you mentioned, that's a great example because being an entertainment venue, for every person that comes in and spends $1 at that entertainment venue, something like $5 or $6 or $7 is spent in the surrounding community with, the restaurants and the pubs and the shopping and all that sort of thing. So it is all of those entertainment venues are economic drivers. So, Aisha, Tell us, where can people learn more about you, volunteer for your campaign, possibly vote for you, possibly make a large donation? Where can they find you?
Yes, well, you could find me at voteayesha.com. I'm at Vote Ayesha on all social media platforms. I need your number one vote on November 4th or before. Listen, I am the third Black woman and fourth woman of color to serve in the history of the City of Cambridge City Council. And that to me is not progressive. We need to do more. And I'm also looking at how we can create pathways for more leadership and more voice, excuse me. But I totally need your vote. I need your support. So please consider Ayesha M. Wilson for City Council re-election on November 4th. And I'm look forward to seeing you at the doors, events, or whatever. Please help us door knock. Help us get to those voters that we need to and donate. I need your money. We need your money. Team Ayesha needs your money in order to be successful. So I look forward to earning your support. You can, again, reach me at voteayesha.com. Vote Ayesha on all social media platforms. Vote Ayesha #1.
Great. Thank you so much, Ayesha. Great to see you again. Continued success. I'll see you on the campaign trail, and best of luck on November 4th.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Always a pleasure to see you. Thank
Same
you.
here.
Be well.
Bye-bye.